And this is the one I put my squiggly line around because that means it's the most important. And that's profit superpowers. And you nail it. You know, the distinction that is totally unclear in the minds of a lot of small and even tech entrepreneurs, the difference in the meaning and leverages around the two numbers, gross profit and net profit.
I tell you what, it's the sad part is, especially when you're dealing with small businesses, is they think profit is something that just happens. That if they do the work and they have the customers and they pay their bills, at the end of the day, there's going to be money left over, and whatever that is, I'm going to call my profit. Profit is something that happens as the direct result of a strategic effort to improve profit. I'm going to use kind of a simple story here to break this down. And I have a friend I went to school with, and she makes candles and sells them at the weekend farmers markets and things like that. And we really started to get into it and look at her candle production. And basically, she sells candles for $10. And it costs her roughly, and I'm going to mess the numbers up, but you can get the point. It costs her roughly about $4 to make a candle. So she makes $6 of gross profit off per candle she sells. So if she sells 100 candles, she's going to make $600.
Before any other expenses.
Before her travel to and from the shows, setting up booths, whatever fee she has to pay to have a booth.
Credit card fees, all this shit, right? Yeah.
So she looks at that and she views her profit as $6 per candle because she's thinking about just gross profit. And so when you sit back and you start looking at net profit that takes all of those other things into account, she can really start to get a sense of how much money she's actually making. And truth is, she's probably a little more than breaking even. She's probably getting enough to go out to dinner twice a month or something like that. One of the things I suggested she do was she increase her prices.
It's amazing the leverage that comes from raising prices even a little.
Right? It is amazing. And she was like, her first reaction, and this is the reaction that most business owners have, especially small business owners, if I raise my prices, I might lose customers. So I said, well, let's just ask real quickly, how many customers do you think you would lose if you raised your prices from $10 to $13? And she said, probably not many. Probably not many, because she's got her loyal things. And so we actually did the math, but the bottom line is currently to make $600 of net profit, she has to sell 100 candles. By changing that $10 to $13, now she's making $9 per candle instead of $6 per candle. So she actually could lose 35% of her customers and make as much money. And with 35% fewer customers, that means she's making fewer candles and her other overhead goes down. So it has the additional element of increasing her net profit because her expenses go down on everything else because she's not having to make as many candles.
Your example is not a bad one, but you left out a very big part of the leverage, which is if businesses have significant fixed costs, the leverage is even greater. So let's say she rents a storefront and she has a machine that she leases, etc., at a fixed price. And let's say she's making a 10% profit margin at $10, right? If you raise her price to 13, essentially all $3 of that falls to the bottom line. So instead of having, let's say she sells $1,000 worth a month and it makes $100, suddenly she's making 4 times as much or almost that much. There'll be a little bit on the margin for credit card fees or stuff. So businesses that have fixed costs, a much bigger outrageous boost that comes from getting even relatively small price increases.
And unfortunately, far too many business owners take the other approach. They're like, I can make more money if I sell 200 candles instead of 100. I'm going to drop my price down to 8. And so now they're only making $4 per candle. They're selling a lot more candles, so they feel busier. They feel like they're actually growing because they're selling a lot more candles. But they also, then they have to turn around and hire an extra person because it takes more money to make 200 candles. They have to have somebody else, so they're paying an employee. They're buying extra stuff. And so they're creating this emotional sense of a growing business while their bottom line erodes and they look up one day and says, I don't understand it. I had the best year of my business's career customer wise, and I went to do my taxes and I lost $300,000. How did that happen?
Yeah. The first principle of business, you have to have in your head the simple algebra of your gross margin and have it fully included, things like credit card fees, your fixed costs, your people, if they're fixed people, your rent, equipment that you lease, etc., and then the net profit. And you have to have that algebra in your head. If you can't spit it out at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're woken up because of your fire alarm went off, then you shouldn't be in business.